Hello and welcome to the MENGAGED Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Roberts Lynch, and I'm joined by some of our group members, Ronan Murray, Connor Roberts Lynch, and Riley Patton. Tonight we are joined by our first special guest. He's a local legend, singer, dancer, and fitness enthusiast, and the face of Vogue Competitions. In fact, there's probably none in Derry that doesn't know him. His Micky Doherty. Micky, who hails from Galliagh, he has faced his fair share of challenges growing up, and tonight he is going to share his journey, his triumphs, and his advice for young people who may be struggling with their sexual identity. Right, so I have the first question here for you. Can you share your experience of growing up in the Galliagh area and the challenges you faced with being gay?
God almighty, that introduction was amazing. I don't think I've ever been so emotional hearing that stuff, because we don't like to hear the good stuff about us. We're always waiting for somebody to, say bad points. So thank you for the kind words, and thanks for the beautiful comments there. So growing up in Galliagh, and I have to say this, and I really mean it when I say that, I had the best years of my life in Galliagh Park. I felt so safe as a person. I could be who I wanted to be. I didn't change for anybody. I was part of the lads. Don't get me wrong, I was with the girls a lot. I've done a lot of girls things. Now, I will give you like a wee funny story. My muckers used to land at the door, knock at the door and say, to my mum and daddy, is Micky coming out to play a match? And they just my mum said, no, I was upstairs with them dolls. I was upstairs playing with dolls. And I was also a dancer at the time. I was an All-Ireland champion. And nobody knew that I danced. My mother bought me a karate suit. So nobody, and my father wouldn't know that I was a professional dancer. So when I came in with cups and trophies on the Galliagh Park, my father thought that I was a karate champion. Oh. But little did he know that my mummy was putting sparkles on me and put me on the bus and sending me to Dublin to be a dancer. So, but for Galliagh Park, I felt so safe. I wish I had them times now, with no phones. The friendship is unbelievable, Like, I know your youth worker there, Marty, was younger than me. I was the older version of Marty. What age are you, Marty? 44. 44, so I'm 48, I'll be 49. So I was like 5 or 6 years older than you. You were still classed as young to me, because when you were, but and there was the simplest things like rounders, playing rounders, nicky knock, in the houses.
Killer Frisbee, Micky.
So what did you say?
Killer Frisbee.
Oh, Killer Frisbee, I know. I felt so accepted in Galliagh Park. Now, there was a nickname, and I have to address it, because I still live in that stigma where a teacher had called me Micky Handbag, and that name stuck to me. Now I have the strength to say, that's not my name. It was a teacher called me that at school. It just got bigger and bigger, and that's when I started the secondary school, and that's where kind of my journey began of stigma and bullying. But in Galliagh Park, I was so free. One time I was kicking a ball, but the other time there was majorettes. I was doing girly things with the girls, and I didn't. There was no bullying in Galliagh Park. I have to be honest. I loved it. It was my space. If anything, I was very cheeky and very, but that was me masking. I didn't want them to know that, that I was struggling inside to survive.
What was it about the park? What was it about the park that made you feel safe?
So it was a connection. We never ever judged one another in Galliagh Park. We celebrate at night. A connection. No social media whatsoever. And the parents were very strict. You weren't allowed to bully. You weren't allowed to call names. You would just get grounded. You weren't allowed out. And we had nothing. We had nothing. See, when I say we had nothing, I remember my mama sending me out to the ice cream van when Uncle Sam, the ice cream man came along. We had no money. So I used to say to Uncle Sam, my mama says, have you any broken cones? Do you know, because we hadn't got nothing, but we had each other. We used to sitting with each other the night, you know, and we looked out for one another. We really, really did. We did, Marty. But, you know, best years of my life until I got into secondary school and my journey began of my identity, like, you know.
Here comes on to the hard question. What helped you overcome the challenges and made you the person you are today?
Making others feel valued. I didn't feel accepted as a child. And, you know, we all have our insecurities at school. You might be insecure with the colour of your hair. You might be insecure that somebody has a bigger nose than somebody else. You might be insecure that somebody's got bigger ears than somebody else. We're always don't like something apart about ourselves and we're insecure about ourselves. For me, I was kind of different. I was kind of feminine, you know, hanging around with the girls, dancing and singing, you know, and I wasn't allowed to do sport. I was just put out, you know. Teachers just put me out. I was just class as a, you know. Now I know I have ADHD and I also have autistic traits. But there was nothing for me at school to learn them kind of things. So I was just put out of class, dismissed. Can't do sport. Can't do that. Blah blah blah. Go you with the girls, you know. So I went down the road of addiction at a young age, where I thought I needed the drugs to help me survive, because I felt Micky the performer on the stage, and then Michael. But then I started, when I got myself well, I started to entertain people and make other people feel valued. You know, if I'm in a room full of people where maybe somebody is in a wheelchair, or somebody is, I go and entertain them first. I see them in a crowd because they're like me, that growing up we didn't feel accepted. So for me, kindness, having compassion, making people laugh, doing things for others and expecting nothing in return, and just, you know, just trying to get through it the best I can.
What advice would you give to young people today who are struggling, like, with their sexual identity?
My God Almighty, so I never came out until I was 28. I was terrified of society. I was terrified of what you would have thought of me. I was terrified of my father because he was so strict. And it actually wasn't that bad when I told him. But, you know, so I kept it to myself. But then, you know, if I hadn't come out, if I had come out younger, I wouldn't have had my son. You know, he's 28 now, and that's, you know, I'm very proud of him. But I love the life of severe mental health, not being able to be the person I am. Society's changed now. You know, no matter what, you know, people are changing. People just want to be their own selves. But, you know, that was just the journey that I took, you know. And I was 28 before it came out, and I got I got my two friends who wanted to tell me mum and daddy. We were at a party next door, Liam O'Donnell and Ski, and I says, oh God, Liam, go on, you down and tell me mum I'm gay. I can't do it. And he went down and told me daddy. But that's just how it is. I just made me the person that I am today. You know, I'm sorry I had it a lot younger. Life would have been a lot better. But it's just the society that we lived in then. You know, now I got to the stage where I don't care what people think about me. If you find me overbearing, that's your choice. And, you know, that's all your opinions, but your opinions don't matter to me anymore. I know I'm a good person. I like what I see. I can look in the mirror myself, you know, and be proud of who I am. And I hope you will be too as well. Whatever you do in life, you know, whatever way you change your image, whatever way you change, you know, who you be with, don't let other people's opinions get into your head. You be who you want to be. Love your life, and don't be afraid to talk about things. If you're struggling with anything, reach out to your friend. Reach out to somebody that you know that you can talk to, you know, and tell them how you're feeling. Don't be hiding anything. Nobody hides anything anymore now, you know.
Do you think our community has become more accepting of the LGBTQIA community? If so, what changes have you noticed?
Again, I'm going to be very honest here. I don't know if it's changed that much because I don't know, you know, for me, I don't worry about what people think about me, but could two boys walk up Shipke Street on a Saturday night holding hands while people are consumed with alcohol? I don't really know that. Would people shout at them? Probably. Derry has got better. There's no gay bars or nothing like that. But you don't have to go into a bar. You don't have to go to a gay bar to be gay. You can just go into a bar, or go to a club, or go, I know you're underage. Just be being yourself. But it is changing. It's changing, but we're just not quite there yet.
What do you think we need to do to make sure everyone feels comfortable to identify their sexual identity?
Wow, that's an amazing question. It really is, because I feel, if somebody is struggling with their sexuality, well, what's going on now in social media and what people are seeing now, people are feeling free to be there and to be who they are. But my advice would be, to reach out to somebody. But, love your life. Don't be worried what other people think about you, whatever you want to be.
Can you share any personal stories that would help young people understand the impact of homophobic attacks, like online comments? And have you loved any experience?
Oh, God almighty. So, I had homophobia for a long time. From I was 11. Stigma from I was 11. Get shouted at the street with young boys your age, in the bus, every time I got on the bus. Every time I went to the town, just constant homophobic attacks. I was pulled under chairs at school. I was beaten up a few times. And then obviously I was stalked online as well. Now it's not allowed to happen anymore by law. You can't have homophobic abuse now. The law can find out who they are. They can be prosecuted. It's a new law. There's no such thing as harassment. If you're looking to harass anybody on their Facebook or on a social media site, it's classed as harassment now. So we're free from that, free from people being harassed, which is great. That's a good thing about the world is changing. It's classed as harassment and people do be prosecuted now, so.
What role can individuals play in making our community more inclusive and accepting of the LGBTQIA community?
One, by being yourself, by being open, accepting for what your friend does or for her friend he or she is. Just be open. Let people be what they want to be. Never judge anybody, because we don't know, when we grow up, or our children, what they're going to, how they're going to be in the world. Just love all the way, compliment, be kind, open the door for somebody, tell them they're looking well, do something for somebody, just kindness and love.
Going back to the last question, what do you think it was that made them boys want to bully you and beat you up and all?
So they're uncomfortable with themselves. So if you're bullying me, and if you're giving me homophobic abuse, you're uncomfortable with your own sexuality. Because why would you want to have a problem? See, I've learned all this now. Why would you want to have a problem with me? You're the problem. You need to look at yourself. I figured that out. It took me a long, long time to figure that out. Because I used to lie in my bed at night, didn't want to survive, didn't want to get up the next day, didn't want to face the world. For 20 years of my life, I've lived with that abuse. And then I figured it out. These people want to be me. They, not how sad, but now I'm looking at people, you know, if people want to shout me in the street, obviously, you know, they want to be the person that I am. Happy, content, kind. Okay, all the things that I thought I wasn't when people were giving me homophobic abuse, I thought I was, you know, but unfortunately that's not the way. I'm so comfortable now, you know, and not really.
What is one message you would like our listeners to come away within this podcast session?
Always look out for somebody. Always ask somebody they're okay. If you see somebody, you know, sad, or if you see somebody getting called names at the street, go over to that person and give them a hug. Ask them are they okay. It's really, really a very special gift to look after one another. It's a special gift to, you know, make others people feel valued. Don't just walk past and let somebody call somebody names. Go and see how that person is, and you know, you yourself will live a very happy life.
Right, thanks everybody for listening to our MENGAGED podcast. Massive thanks to Micky for giving up his time, sharing his experience with us. If there's anyone listening to that wants to get involved in our podcast sessions, we meet every Thursday at 6 p.m. in St. Andrew's Youth Centre. Thank you, everyone.